Hello, I'm Brenda Martin with Inside Huntsville. The purpose of our show is to give you, our viewing audience, an opportunity to learn more about the services available to you through the many Huntsville city departments. Today, we're highlighting the Huntsville Fire and Rescue Department, which is under the able leadership of Chief Howard McFarlen. Chief, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Brenda. I'm proud to be here.
You are indeed a veteran of our city fire department. How long have you been here?
Well, I was fortunate to start out in the volunteer fire service, and 37 years ago.
37?
37, and then worked a little, then went with the county fire marshal's office for a while, where I learned to do inspections and investigations, and then I was able to come to work for the city of Huntsville Fire Department 30 years ago, a little over 30 years. This is my 30th year.
Oh my
with
goodness.
Huntsville Fire and Rescue. I've been blessed to have a great career and a job I enjoy coming to work to every day.
Well, what led you to venture into this, to take this career path?
Well, I just enjoyed the challenge of it. I enjoyed, you get to help other people, and then there's the challenges of really being able to help a lot, not just making the responses that we make, but being able to kind of plan for the future and see things get better. I came from a time when we were just starting to use air packs on fire scenes to now we're working with thermal imaging cameras, and the fire service just came a long way.
It's come a long way,
really
huh?
has.
Well, listen, tell us, how does someone become, if they're interested in becoming a firefighter, because I hear this all often from our young men and women out in the community. What steps should they take?
What they should do first is, explore the idea of it, make sure this is something they want to do. And if it is, they need to get in touch. You can actually go online to our Human Resources Department and fill out some stuff there that will, you'll get notified. When we actually hire, we give a test. So that you can actually go online and fill out interest for it so that we'll know, and they will send you an email, let you know that we're getting ready to an application so that you can actually take a test. It's a long process.
It is.
We'll actually start out by fill out application, then you do a written test, and then you have to do the physical abilities test.
Oh, yes.
And we work through, it's a challenge. We had about 600 or 700 applicants the last time we hired, and those worked down to slowly certain number left after you take the written test, a certain number left after you do the physical abilities test, and then we look at backgrounds and qualifications and try to pick the best candidates.
Well, now, do we have an academy going now, or will we soon have one?
We actually do. Matter of fact, we actually started an academy that we've got 24 people in it, 24 firefighters in it. It started yesterday.
Oh, okay. And so from those 24 people, you chose those individuals from what, 600?
It's probably about 600 or 700 it started out.
Oh my goodness.
It's quite competitive. We see a lot of folks that are interested in the career here, that if they come through and maybe they're not the absolute best candidate and they work on stuff and come back with more credentials and things, and next time, and sometimes we see people 2 or 3 times in the interview process that really want to be here, but it's a great career if it's what you enjoy doing.
Exactly. Well, now, one thing I know, you do more in the community other than fight fires. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
We do. You typically think of fires, everyone knows that we fight fires,
Right.
Whether it's structure fires or vehicle fires or woods fires. But we also do a lot of medical response. If we're a first response as far as medical emergencies.
What does that mean?
That basically means when a call comes in, if someone calls 911, they're having a medical emergency, that we've got stations strategically placed to have a quick response time. So we can get there quickly, and our job is to get there and try to stabilize the patient, and then HEMC will arrive typically and do further medical procedures if necessary, and they will transport the patient. But our job is first response to get there on the medical emergencies, at a home or a business, wherever someone's having a problem. And then also if someone's injured in an accident, a car accident or an industrial accident, we do those type of medical emergencies, plus, the rescue, the vehicle rescue, what we call extrication, where you see what's typically called jaws of life or life, whatever we use. We use all that equipment to make sure we get everyone out with those particular areas. And that's the day-to-day stuff we do. We do some special operations. We have a special operations division that takes a lot of extra training, and things where we do what we call technical rescues, from confined space rescues to high angle rescues. It takes a lot of other special training, so they're available to do those type of things.
One of the things, before we go further, one of the things you mentioned was about your stations, our stations being strategically placed. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, we try to look at our station placement for main things response time.
Okay.
We're looking for response
Gotcha.
time so that we can respond, and also for our, when we get our fire ratings, which actually has to do with how much insurance premiums you pay. That plays into that as we go into that, is where those stations are placed.
Okay. Now, how many stations do we have in the city of Huntsville?
Okay, it's actually we're actually fixing to build Station 19, and of course now Green Mountain is Station 13 up on Green Mountain, and it's manned by Green Mountain Volunteer Fire. We actually cover it with Station 14 at Mountain Gap, and the new station we're fixing to build 19. Those coverage will overlap along with their coverage, and then they do a good job up there. Sometimes in inclement weather we have a problem, and we'll actually stage personnel at that station up there to make sure we can get up the mountain if we have problems.
So is that the only station that we have volunteer?
In the city of Huntsville, yes.
In the city of Huntsville?
In the city of Huntsville, yes.
And the reason for that is?
That came about years ago when Green Mountain, there wasn't as many people up there, and they wanted to annex to the city to use the city schools, and there wasn't a station available, so they came up with that they would have a volunteer department up there and cover that, and we will eventually have a station up there, and we're in the process. We work great. We have a great working relationship with them. We all work great together.
Okay.
And we're in the process of making sure that's manned and staffed along with them as we move forward.
Talk about working together. You know, firefighters are almost like a family
Yes.
in itself. I mean, because you live together for hours, you work long hours. Tell us a little bit about that.
It is. It's like your second family, because the way we typically work, especially in the emergency response division, which is our largest division, that's what you will typically see on the fire trucks and ladder trucks responding to emergencies. We typically work a 24-hour shift at a time. It's typically from 8 in the morning until 8 the next morning, and it's like having a house there. We have a dorm. We got a place that we can sleep at night if fires or emergencies going on, and then we've got a kitchen that we can cook in, and we're there for a 24-hour period, and it's operated by basically 3 different ranks. You got firefighters that typically fight the fire, and then driver engineers that are responsible for the trucks, and then a captain that oversees. It's a supervisor of the operation, and it works the same. We've got a lot of things that we do during the daytime, from training to a lot of our pre-fire planning. So there's a lot of activities takes place, but it's a different lifestyle. You probably spend more time with each other than you do your family when you're off. So.
That kind of leads me into my next question, and that is explain to us how you manage the daily operations of the Huntsville Fire Rescue. I mean, you've got a lot going on.
We do, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of good managers within our department that do a great job every day. We're broken down into different groups. One is our emergency response group, which we used to call fire suppression, but we do more than just suppress fires now, but that's our group that we talked about there.
Yes.
And then we've got our Fire Prevention Bureau. And the Fire Prevention Bureau, they work with building inspections and make sure that codes are in compliance with buildings. New construction, they inspect existing buildings and businesses. They also do our investigation, cause investigation, such as arson investigation, out of that bureau. We've got our communications division at the 911 center, and they manage all of our calls when they come in. When you call 911, it's transferred over to them if it's a fire, and they get the information that we need, so we know how many and what kind of trucks to send. And then we have our training division. Our training division deals with keeping our personnel trained. We've got an extremely good training division. We're also an off-site campus for the State Fire College.
Is that right?
So
Here in Huntsville?
Yes, we are. We train our people to the standards at the State Fire College. We also teach classes that actually have students come from all over the state to our training classes that are sponsored by the State Fire College. So very active there. They handle that portion of the training. Then our Special Operations Division, they deal with a lot of the specialty responses such as hazardous material, the confined space, the high angle rescue, the technical rescue, a lot of those teams. We've got two particular teams we participate. Our hazardous material team, we've had for a long time, but it's also a regional asset. It can be called anywhere in the state through EMA if it's needed. And the same thing for our heavy rescue team that we actually share with Madison. We have a heavy rescue team that takes a lot of that training that does it. So we've got that, and then our logistics and support. I don't want to leave out logistics. We've got a good logistics and supply and support team that keeps us the stuff we need to do what we've got to do. And then, of course, our admin staff that manages all the paperwork and time cards. And
couldn't do without them.
We could not do without them. And every division we've got, they work really well, and makes my job pretty easy because everybody does just a great job.
That's good. Sounds like you've got a fabulous team to work with.
We do.
That's great.
Great.
Question, and I know many people are not sure exactly what to do when they hear a fire siren. You know,
yes.
As a person out on the street and you're driving and all of a sudden you hear this this siren, what exactly should we do?
What we need everyone to do if you've got especially if you've got the fire engines coming from behind you, if you can, we need you to pull to the right. Give your signal, let us know, because we're watching. That driver is trying to watch all the traffic, and we're trying to be as careful as we can, but we've still got to make a rapid response. So if you'll move to the right, we'll try to go to the left and go around. And at intersections, if you see us coming through, go ahead and get to a full stop and stop, because we're going to come
and just be still.
Yeah, just be still.
Okay.
We'll drive around you. You just be still. We'll figure that out if we can, and because we want to be very safe as we can on our response.
Great, great. Chief, another thing I've heard said, and that is perhaps we need smaller trucks.
We get that question. It's a good question. We get it a lot. And you know, your first thought is, maybe so, until you see what all we do. We're a very diverse department in what we do. You know, when the alarm goes off this time, you may get on the truck and it may be a car that's on fire, that you need one pry bar to open the hood and put the fire out the hose. Before we get back to the station, they may turn us out to someone that's in cardiac arrest, and we're going to go to a medical call. We need a medical kit. We need a defibrillator off the truck. We need oxygen, all the medical supplies. And before we come back from that, we may be turned out to a whole different type of event of a structure fire that we need hoses, nozzles, smoke fans to move smoke out. It's kind of like if you do a lot of things, like if you were at your house and you were the electrician, the plumber, and took care of the yard, you need a big toolbox. So that's kind of what our trucks do. We carry a lot of different tools that we need to do what we have to do.
Firefighters obviously go through extensive training as well. I know we talked a little bit about that earlier, but tell us a little bit more about the training, the in-depth training that they go through.
We actually do. When the folks that are starting out right now, for example, they started yesterday, which is we're here toward the end of March, and they won't be finished up toward this fall sometime to put it. We've got 240 hours that we start out the basic part for firefighters, and we actually do a firefighter level 1 and firefighter level 2, and then they have to be trained to EMT level, so they get the medical training. And while we have them, we will also go on and train them for hazardous material response and technical rope rescue. So we have quite a bit of extensive training that we do to just get started on a truck. And of course, all that training encompasses all the things they'll be doing as far as actually how to put a fire out, how to wear their air packs, how to do a lot of safety things, make sure they're safe, and use all the tools and things. And then after we're on, it's what we call on shift or actually working, we have a tremendous program for continuing education. As you progress up in the ranks, we've got a special school for the drivers, that they have to know all about the pumps and water hydraulics and how to pump certain pressures of water and how to drive the truck safely. And then after you go to that, then we have officer training, that we train our folks how to be supervisors, how to be officers, how to make safe calls and good calls on fire scenes. And then we have all the specialty training that you'll take, such as rope rescue, technical rescue, confined space, and all the stuff we teach in-house and have certified instructors to teach it. And then we have the station training. That at the station each day, our guys are not just sitting around. We actually do 20 hours per month of continuous education at the
Okay,
at the
that's
station.
good to know.
So
Yes.
we train extensively to be ready for whatever emergency
So we're not
comes
just
up.
sitting around waiting for a fire or
No,
someone to give us a call, and that's important because many people don't understand that.
It is, you know, of years and years ago, you saw the picture of the firefighters sitting around maybe playing checkers or something.
Yes.
No, I don't know if a fire station has got a checkerboard in it. No such thing. We're hoping to be able to get, it pushes us to actually get done all the work we have to do usually.
Great. And in the age of diversity, tell us how many women are involved as firefighters?
Well, we don't have a lot of women. I could sit and count. We want to have 4 or 5 women in the department.
Okay.
The problem, women do a good job in the department. The problem is what we have now for us recruiting is the thing called the CPAT, which is a candidate physical ability test. And it is, you know, it's been looked at nationwide. We use a national standard. It's been looked at, what we use has been looked at by an organization, Women in the Fire Service, International Association of Firefighters, International Association of Fire Chiefs, the Department of Labor, and they say this is a valid test. One of the problems that sometimes females and smaller males have is the upper body strength.
Okay,
That
I
takes
see.
if you can do that, we're good to go. But the thing is, you have to be able to put on the extra gear that weighs a lot of extra pounds and tote sections of hose on your shoulders to go upstairs to fight a fire up there. So it's just a factor of being able to do that.
Interesting. I saw some information that said that the Huntsville Fire Rescue has an ISO rating of 3/9. Now, this is something that our community needs to understand because this is some good news here.
It is. It is. ISO stands for Insurance Services Office.
Okay.
And basically, let me tell you a little bit about them. They have been around for years, decades. And what they actually do, their business is really selling data to insurance companies. But they're national. So the standards apply not just in Huntsville, Alabama, but in Texas, up north, out west. It's a national organization that the same standards apply. And what they do is they come in and grade fire departments, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Okay.
They grade your ability to quickly put out fires and stop a loss of property.
Okay, yes.
And they look at a lot of different factors. They look at you. It's a point system. If you get points for doing this, matter of fact, the 20 hours of training, we get points for doing that. We actually have to pre-fire plan businesses where we come out and have a pre-plan. We get points for doing that. We get points for making sure hydrants are tested, and there's a lot that goes into that when they actually come in and audit us. But in a nutshell, they give you a grade from 1 to 10. 10 being basically no fire protection, and then it gets better. Huntsville is basically a 3. They're doing the slashes now when they say like a 3/9, meaning that you're a 3 if you're in the city of Huntsville and you're within 5 miles of a fire station and within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. You can meet some of the other qualifications, you'll back up to the 9, but what the 3 means, it means that your insurance premium is going to save a lot of money. One of the things that we looked at, and this is a story that typically the fire service, I think we forget to tell, to let the citizens know what we do, is, for example, I looked at our budget, and we've got roughly a $28 million budget for Huntsville Fire and Rescue. We took the property value inside the city of Huntsville, and we talked to several insurance companies to get kind of an average of what it costs, say, to insure $100,000 worth of structure. When you put the math to it, what that actually means for every dollar in our budget, of tax dollars in our budget, we're actually saving the citizens roughly $8 on insurance premiums. That kind of ratio back.
That's incredible.
So, you know, if we don't respond to the first emergency or we don't save the first life, just what we do every day, and this is the work you see the trucks out and about, and we're doing the pre-fire plans, checking the plugs, making sure this type of work is done. But at that rate, we're also saving the citizens of Huntsville a tremendous amount of money by keeping the fire rating as low as what it is.
And you're keeping it low by?
doing all of those things, making sure we're trained, making sure that we got the hydrants in good condition, making sure that we got the right equipment on the trucks, making sure that all those pieces and components, for example, when they look at a grade of 100, our communications division actually gets to one of the highest scores of anything we get. It's 10 points out of the entire 100 of how we handle calls.
And why is that?
Because if you stop and think, they figured out that if you're not effective, when you call 911, if it takes someone a long time to process the call before you get a fire truck, you know, for every second and mounting up time that we're not getting there, they're losing property. So there's a tremendous emphasis on how effective we are in our communications division as far as our ISO grade.
And I understand that we have a new communications manager.
Well, we've got actually we got a new PIO officer,
Okay.
and Frank McKenzie. He's doing a great job with that, and then I think he's going to do well helping get some of these messages out of some things we're talking about today.
That's right, and we'll certainly look forward to having him on pretty soon as well. While we're talking about this, tell us and explain to us about the 911 center, because I think a lot of people misunderstand
Sure.
when to call and even where it is.
Yes. Well, our 911 center is it's actually, we're pretty unique here in Huntsville, Madison County. Thank goodness we're kind of a model to a lot of other places, because all of the emergency agencies are in one building.
In one building.
They're in one building, and the calls come in. If you dial 911 for an emergency, what will happen typically is there's going to be a call taker that answers the 911 lines, and they're going to say, 911, what is your location and what is your emergency? And then depending on what your emergency is, they will either process the call there, and the information goes by computer to the responding agency, such as the Sheriff's Department or HMC or Huntsville Police or Huntsville Fire. It'll go where it goes. Or they will transfer the voice. Like if it's a fire, they will actually transfer your voice. If you call and they said, 911, what's your emergency? And you said, my house is on fire. They're already looking at your address. Let's say it's in the city of Huntsville. And they're going to say, hold on, just stay with me just a second. And they're going to hit one button, and it's going to ring about a half a ring, and it's going to transfer over to Huntsville Fire and Rescue's dispatchers. And they will take the call from there and start asking the questions, because what we need to know is not just that it's just a fire, because depending on what's on fire is how many, if it's a car on fire, you're going to see one fire truck. If it's your house on fire, you're going to see 2 fire engines and a ladder company and a district chief.
Oh, okay.
And so there's multiple combinations. We want to get the right equipment to do the job, but be as economical and safe as possible and not send too much equipment. So that's what the dispatchers, they play a tremendously important role on looking at that and knowing what response to send.
What are their hours,
Now they actually work, our dispatchers actually work an 8-hour shift, like from 7 in the morning to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 back to 7, and it's a 24-hour operation. And I would have to say, if there was any probably unsung heroes in our whole organization, it's our communications division. We could not function without them. They just do tremendous, and I know ours for Huntsville Fire and Rescue, we're so fortunate to have several of the telecommunicators out there that is reaching retirement, but that means they've actually stayed with us and have that much experience, and that's it's really good to have when they know that much what's going on.
I bet. One other question too about your a fire extinguisher.
Yes.
Should one be in each home? Certainly we know you'll have it in each business, but what about in the homes?
Yes, we should have one in each home, and you need to think about where you're going to put it.
Okay.
So many people will think, well, okay, if I have something cooking, I'll mount it right here next to the stove. And that's not the best place to put it, because if the stove is on fire, then you can't get to the fire extinguisher.
Okay, exactly.
A good place that I like to see people put them is close to the door going out.
Going out the door.
Because you've got to make a decision if you have a fire. Am I going to fight it, or do I need to leave? And we don't want anybody hurt, because we'll be on the way. But you can make that decision on the way to the door to say it's something really small, and yes, I think I can take care of it, fire extinguisher. I would advise, though, if you have like a stove fire, and you use a fire extinguisher to put it out, if it was blazing up, go ahead and let the fire department respond. And because so many times what happens is you may put the fire out and you're looking and you don't see any fire, but the vent on that stove goes up through your attic. You could actually we have actually responded where people thought they had it out, so they didn't call 911.
My goodness.
And then 20 minutes later, they figure out their whole attic's on fire.
Jeez,
because we will send a truck out, double check it. We'll send some guys up in the attic. We'll make sure everything's okay.
Okay.
And it's better to be safe than sorry.
Than sorry, absolutely. Okay, I've got about 5 more minutes here, and I want to ask you about the numerous things that you do in our community. I know you're involved, the fire station is involved in so many activities in our community. One with our neighborhood associations, our adult programs, and our school children. Can you elaborate on those areas for us?
Well, I can, and I think that's very important to talk about. We talked about the fire extinguishers.
Yes.
We have had a program for years in the city of Huntsville where we talk to school children. And we get requests a lot of time from teachers, can you bring a truck to the school and talk to them? We'd love to.
Right.
We schedule those tours. We have school children come to the station and we'll tell them about it.
Oh, great, yes.
And it's paid dividends. It's paid dividends in saving lives. Because the same thing with, say, smoke detectors. You need to make sure your smoke detectors are working. And right now, the state of Alabama, I hate to say it, but the state of Alabama is actually leading the nation in fire deaths.
Oh, no.
But the city of Huntsville is not. The city of Huntsville, I think all of our folks have done a good job over the years of trying to educate people. And we can see the difference in the city of Huntsville compared to other areas. So we're trying to help with it statewide, but at the same time, we're seeing what a good program does, and we've been very fortunate. But we're talking to seniors, and we're talking to children, and we're trying to educate people early on preventing fires.
And it's great that you're going out to the schools.
Yes.
And here's an opportunity to let some of our teachers know, our principals know, to call you.
If you want someone to come out and talk about fire safety, call our main office at 256-427-7401, and we will get you a tour scheduled where we can come out to the school, or we can schedule a tour if you want to bring them to the fire station. We'll talk about it.
That's great. Chief, tell us that number again.
256-427-7401.
That's great. Tell us exactly where you're located as well, the main office. We know we have 19 fire stations around.
Our main admin office is at 815 Wheeler. It's in the public safety complex on Wheeler Avenue.
Okay.
And we're on the second floor up there.
Sounds great. Well, Chief, our time has come to an end, and I want to thank you for joining us today on Inside Huntsville. We appreciate, let me say, your leadership, your able leadership, if you will, in this most important department. So we thank you for all that you do, and thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about our department.
Okay. And join us again next week as we explore Inside Huntsville. I'm Brenda Martin. Thank you for joining us.